Hello everybody, thank you for joining us. Today we're going to do a quick sketch of a hand from a front view, and it is with the fingers raised. So if you have your pencils all set, we're going to draw ourselves a frame. So what we're showing is like the fingers coming up like a flower, but now we have done other videos with a similar concept, but we are doing this from a different angle, and if we know all too well that anatomy is all about the placement and the angles, and there's foreshortening in this particular video, so we'll get right to that. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then the index finger. So those are actually the fingers. Now this portion, we understand it appears as if this is smaller than it should be, but because that is the foreshortening going right there. So we're going to now set out the fingers as they would look from that particular angle, and that is the knuckle set right there. Now knuckles, again, depending on the hand the picture is based on, might or might not be as visible, and it's all a mixed bag when it comes to something like that. So always we maintain the rule of doing sausages, so 1, 2, or ovals, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, and 3. So it's already beginning to look like fingers. The thumb, of course, might or might not be visible in this particular exercise, that depending on, again, the placement of the hand. Now realistically, between the joints, we have like skin folds going like that. So there's the skin folds, the nail just partly visible on the index finger in this case. We go over to the largest finger, the middle finger of the hand, tap into the skin folds, and foreshortening will make it appear just that much. And again, every hand is different. Every hand has its own dynamic thing, its own aspect going. So you could try out different hands here. Certain general rules can be implied pretty much with every hand. We're talking about generally the joints, and we're talking about skin folds between the knuckles. They apply to every hand, but again, the volume, how they exactly appear, all differs. And then we have the thumb right there. So if we were to have a light source that is, let's say, hitting somewhere from the top, we would probably have some tones falling in along these lines. So this is pretty much away from the light, but that doesn't mean that it's pitch black, because there is usually some sort of light source that hits the object from multiple angles. Of course, there is always a more intense light source unless we are in a very overcast area where there are very faint shadows. In that case, there is an even gray tone that can represent the monotone shadows that are cast because of that overcast blocking, that overcast atmosphere, the sky and the blocking of the sun. And in that case, yes, there would not be too many contrasting tones and shadows coming in, but usually there's always a degree of tone, shadows that can be implied to objects, and hands most of all, because hands are just that awesome when they, with the slightest movement of the different joints, the limbs, with the contrasting of the skin, the tone, everything changes. So we have the wrist going right there in the back, and it's not really part of our exercise here. So we will leave it out just to that degree, and that should be sufficient. So we're just putting in loosely, putting in cross hatches and just moving the tones according to how the shadows might be cast in this particular hand gesture. Now, just grab a more flat pencil to do the remainder of the honors here. So that's just to give the idea that everything is pretty much thrown into tones on the underside here. Ourselves a thicker pencil here. And concentrate some tones, especially to the bottom of the hand here. Now there might be veins, there might be other like aspects of skin and muscle that might or might not show in different hands, but it wouldn't be a bad idea to imply some of that. So hands usually, when seen from this particular angle, there's like tones going both ways. So we have tones here and we have tones here. Similarly, we have tones here and we have tones right against this side here, which is the opposite of that side. But since that side is now here, the top is in light, the other immediately comes against the light into a darker setting, and hence the tones coming in. So again, we'll just run this off with a little more crosshatch here. Something out here and even it out. So that's hand seen from that particular angle. Now the fingers are divided here. Now we could change the placement of the fingers if we want. So we could always have this finger with just this much foreshortening and showing through like that. That's also a popular placement, and then of course the knuckle would not move more or less, but the skin fold would come down here somewhere in that case because it would move. So different things could be like done with this, and similarly the little finger could also be crunched like closer, brought in like that, and the skin fold would go up there. So different options. Please do try it out, and thank you for watching. Please subscribe, keep in touch, have yourself a wonderful day.